Senior Report thanks Edmund Besch of Bristol Burgess Insurance Agency, 65 East Main Street, Westfield, for his generous grant to provide news to seniors. Funding is provided by a grant from New York State Senator Catherine M. Young, representing Western New York's 57th District with a local office in Olean. Funding is provided by a grant from Absolute Care of Westfield, committed to returning the favor to those who spent a lifetime caring for others. Absolute Care is located at 26 Cass Street in Westfield. Dave Cass and Rick Newell provide funding on behalf of the Lakeview Hotel and Restaurant at the docks, located on Water Street near the lake in Mayville. Senior Report with Reed Powers thanks Westfield's Schultz Chevy for a generous grant to inform seniors of important news. Over 50 years of service to Westfield by Chevrolet, Schultz Chevy across from the school. The physicians of Jamestown Primary Care are happy to sponsor the Senior Report. From the Access Channel 5 television studio in Mayville, it's Senior Report with Reed Powers. Senior Report is broadcast live throughout northern Chautauqua County on Saturday morning from 9 to 10 a.m. each week. Call in and share a thought, make a comment, ask a question, or simply wish someone a happy birthday on Chautauqua County's only live call-in senior program. Since 1995, Reed has been bringing viewers hundreds of interesting guests, informing the community on a variety of subjects. Here's the host of the show, Reed Powers.
Yeah. And good morning. What a beautiful day here in Chautauqua County. The sun is beaming down. There's a little nip in the air. It's in the 40s, and it's telling us that winter is slowly approaching, and the trees are beginning to turn into that beautiful color panorama we get when we drive around up in the hills. Oh, what a place to live. Harvest time. They're harvesting all kinds of wonderful things. Fruits, fresh apples all over the place, and of course water chestnuts from the lake, Lake Chautauqua. We have a great guest here. He is going to tell us a little bit about the lakes and some of the threats and some of the things we're going to try to do, and the water chestnuts, I'm sure. His name is Jeff Diers. He is the county coordinator for the Chautauqua Watershed system, and that includes all the lakes and water and streams and everything around the county. And he'll be here to talk to us about that in a few minutes. We have John Hamels coming back, and we have a lot of great things. And I had a wonderful cruise. Thank you, everybody. I'm greatly refreshed, and it was nice to hear from you when we did our little call-in from the ship, which was floating out at sea, as a matter of fact, at the time, chugging its way down to Nassau. You know, the cost of cruising today is less than it's ever been. Carnival, which has had some sad publicity along the way, has dropped their prices, and of course following right along are the other ones, Norwegian, and they're all good. Carnival gives you a really terrific deal. For $640, I think you can travel all the way around the Caribbean for 10 days coming up in March. Check that out if you like cruising. 10 days for under $700. Cruising around the Caribbean, which is you touch on several countries. It's a real action cruise. I'm not promoting anything for anybody, but for those people that cruise, this is a deal you can't pass up, as the Godfather said. Okay, we have a lot of things going on, of course, on TV. It's just madness. Obama's pointing at the Republicans. You started all this mess, and the Republicans are saying you haven't fixed it yet. And it's going on and on and on. Big debate coming up on Wednesday, though. We'll be able to see them in action. And each one is saying the other guy, they're the underdog, the other guy has the advantage, but we'll see how that works out. I have a feeling Obama may have the advantage because of the stupid things that are coming out of the Republican Party. I mean, some of the comments made, the little people, that the shiftless people that are on welfare and so forth, including almost half of America, including all the senior citizens who are retired, he said they're not paying any taxes. Holy mackerel, Andy, what's the matter with this man? Romney is, he's backtracking like crazy, saying, well, I didn't quite mean that, and it's out of context, and give me a break, fella. That's a pretty dumb thing to say. And all the other people, half the other people who are on some sort of public system are hopelessly crippled or, unable to function. And so to claim that these people are all on the dole and just taking from the people, from the government, and not returning anything, not paying taxes, it's absurd. And I resent that. I'm retired. Yeah, I'm not paying taxes yet. I do pay taxes, come to think of it, but not what I used to. I sure don't pay only 14% like Mr. Romney on $20 million income. God help us. All right. I will say that Obama has not really done what he promised to do either, so neither one of them is an angel. You'll have to pick between the lesser of two evils, I guess, this year. Coming up shortly, too, the election. You see all kinds of nutty stuff. That superintendent who got blown away up in Clymer, that's a hell of a story. In Chautauqua County, we don't usually lose too many superintendents of schools to murder. It's the first murder they've ever had up there. I think is incredible. And also a lot of little local stuff. Chautauqua County's doing fine. We're surviving. We got a huge tax increase coming, and we are the highest tax county in the United States, according to certain pundits such as Forbes, I might add. And it never ends. We're going to get another big tax hike coming up. I'll be talking with some of our legislators about that shortly. State is in incredibly bad condition. They just raised taxes, remember, 25% a couple of years ago, and now they're considering more tax increase. And it's insidious. Like a lot of our local taxes are not really being raised. They say, well, it's a fee. The water is going ape. The sewer is going ape. These are all fees. And whatever it is, money out of your pocket, guys. No, they tell me get on with it. Okay, the Brockton Portland seniors have a little notice here. President Robin Carr over there tells us they want to mention the wonderful announcement of Bill Norris and Dorothy McQuiggan. And it's just terrific. Ruth Neal read the minutes, and they were approved over there. Congratulations to Marjorie Dowell for her 92nd birthday. Gee whiz. It's incredible in this day and age that people live to be 90s and even to the hundreds. That's wonderful. Mary Dillon celebrating the September birthday. Good deal. And Rick and Kate Cranston, 38-year anniversary. Beautiful. Brockton's crowd. They're having a fundraiser at the Bricks, incidentally. That's a place with the pink elephant. You don't have to be drunk soused to see the pink elephant. It's right out in front, but it's just a rubber elephant, so don't get excited. Wine tasting and so forth to benefit the July Festival with the local artistry. Brockton School is giving a class on estate planning, incidentally, which might be important to certain people. How you plan your estate may determine whether or not your kids get anything. The state is going to pick your bones clean if you don't properly set it up, if you have to have long-term care. And 7 out of 10 families, senior families, have long-term care, and they go bankrupt just about because of it. You have to check these things out. All right. Don't forget, get your lawyer down, sit down with him and say, I want to plan my estate. It ain't going to cost you much, but it's going to sure save you a bundle in the long run. All right. There's a chili cook-off, incidentally, October 6th at Crossroads. That's at market way up in the top of the hill out of Westfield. And it's going to be a lot of people over there. Chili cook-off, free chili tasting, wonderful. Okay, now we have Brockton School giving a class November 15th. I didn't mention that. It's a $2 fee. That's for the estate planning. They're going to be heading to Northeast to enjoy a family-style meal at the station dinner theater. And December 5th, they're going to the Seneca Niagara Casino and sign up early. These trips go fast. And March 24th, Sister Act, that's next year, at Shea's Buffalo Theater. Dinner and so forth included. Line dancing at the Great Bell Senior Center on Monday. Great Bell Senior Center. Monday will continue each Monday until the end of November. And they meet at noon. Hey, line dancing is a lot of fun. I don't know if you've gotten into it. I learned the scoot and a couple of things, but I was not very good at it. Visiting nurses do drop around the senior centers, and don't forget to get your flu shot. They're having a clinic on Friday at the Great Bell Seniors, October 5th, from 9:30 to 12:30, and you can get it almost anywhere. I see you can drop into CVS. They have a big sign out there anytime and get your flu shot. I guess they whip out a needle and stick it to you. And for seniors, it's almost free. It's very, very inexpensive because your Medicare and Medigap will cover most of it. And it might save you a lot of aggravation. Seniors die from the flu. A lot of them. They have the highest death rate of any class of people. So get your flu shot. It's virtually free, and it could save you a lot of grief, if not just a miserable cold all winter. The Seneca Casino trip on Monday, October 15th is full. Don't bother. They love it. Dr. Brenda Hayes is going to be over at the Senior Center on Monday, October 21st at 10:30, 22nd. She's going to talk about dealing with stress. A lot of stress. There is a lot of stress. Mount Carmel Social Club, Carm Tempio does the job over there. If you want to get involved, call her up and say, I want to join. Silver Creek Senior Annual Flu Shot Clinic open to the public. It'll be held October 6th at the Silver Creek Senior Club rooms on Route 5. It's about where it meets 20, 10 to 1. Pork roast dinner will be held at St. Rose on October 6th from noon to 6 p.m. That's a lot of time to eat a steak dinner or a pot roast dinner. Okay, steaks were served after their meeting. How delicious. They note here, incidentally, the group was quiet while the dinner was enjoyed. Pioneer Social Club in Forestville. President is Carol Pierce over there, and they have a bunch of people dropping around. Happy birthday, Marlene Brandigan, whose birthday was in August. Harry Lissette celebrated his September birthday at a family birthday party. Can't beat that. They're going to send some dough over to the Forestville Food Pantry. They collect some bucks, and why not? And they collect coupons for the military. A lot of coupons from box tops and things such as labels are redeemable for products for the military, but they're running into an awful lot of money sending these things off a little at a time. They want to figure out how to do it in a better way. They're going to talk about that at the next meeting. Big problems everybody has. Almost time to be thinking about the Christmas luncheons and dinners and everything they tell us. Next meeting, October 1st. Can't beat that. Silver Creek Seniors. They had a hot dog picnic, and President Ed Newman says, you all come on over. We're just ready to go. They have a lot of members, and they have their own little place there. And he said, mention our officers. I'll do it quickly. Shirley Sikorsky, he's still president. Ed Newman, Vice President Joan Suski, Treasurer Lori Newman, Recording Secretary Clara Griffin, Corresponding Secretary Dorothy Mineri, Financial Secretary Marianne Siebel, and Chaplain Connie. Installation will be October 9th at a big dinner celebration. Flu shots, don't miss them. Usually they give you a cup of coffee afterwards, or at least a cupcake. And the club is now going to have a regular meeting at 1 p.m. every Tuesday at the Senior Center on Route 5. That's, again, Silver Creek. Westfield, last but not least, and Mayville didn't give me anything this time, or I lost it. I don't know which. They have a whole bunch coming. They met for their 54th anniversary. at the YWCA, where they regularly meet in Westfield. That's next to the library. You can't miss it. President is Shirley Copine, who has a husband who's on the fire department for 100 years. John Copine. He's quite a good guy. Plays a great hand of cards. We play scat regularly, and he's terrific at it. I used to belong, and I had to give it up finally. I'm getting too old and weak. When you can't haul the hose anymore, you should get out of town. You know, in France, I dropped by the fire department, and they're very, very friendly. Stay here if you want. Dinner anytime. Drop around. We have breakfast and lunch. Take a ride with us on the next call. Really, and they want to trade your shield. So at any rate, I asked them when you have to retire. Now, in this country, most fire departments retire at 60. 35 in France. That's it, 35 in Paris. Now, the Paris was the first organized fire department in the world, in history. It wasn't organized by the Parisians. It was organized by the Romans when they owned it. They had possession for a long time. And 35 years, you're too old. You don't have that core strength you used to have, so they say, out with you. But you get a nice, generous pension, and since they're the most highly trained fire department in the world, every single suburb which has paid fire departments around Paris wants you. You got a job the minute you quit. Paris. Happy birthday over there in Westfield. Joyce Wainwright, Ann Cochran, Mary Lou Catania, Amy Gregory. Happy anniversary, the elders in the V-Strands. Yeah, that's enough. They tell me I'm running out of time. Happy anniversary, Jack Dean. Happy birthday, Jack Dean. Nora Lange, all these wonderful people. They're going to have 6 meetings at noon, starting with October. The next 6 meetings are at noon in Westfield. They're having a potluck. Every time you come there, they ask you to bring along some stuff. Usually a dish to pass, bring your silverware, and you know, they'll take care of you there. Usually a main course is served by somebody over there. October 29th, today. Next meeting, I guess. Okay, whatever, that's it. Chicken and biscuits coming up. We've got a public service announcement for you. They're telling me I've been dragging the news on and on and on. I got to get off the air. Okay, and then we'll hear from John. Here you go. This is for you.
Think you found every hazard out here today? Think again. The spot you missed could be a killer. That spot on your skin could be skin cancer. If you're a man over 50, you're in a group most likely to develop skin cancer, including melanoma, the kind that kills 1 person every hour. That's why your best shot is to check for a spot. It's easy. Follow through and check your skin. Go to spotskincancer.org to find out how. A message from the American Academy of Dermatology.
Yeah, those people that sit around on the beach basking constantly and get that deep brown color, they're dead in the water. Skin cancer. Here we go. He shoots from the hip. Doc!
Good morning, Reed.
Good morning
to our guests and all of our viewers. Well, Reed, I'm glad you're back because it's a lot more fun sitting on this side. Not really.
No, I heard you did a great job.
We had a great show with the Westfield Memorial Hospital and Candy Susie, and we got some real nice feedback on that. So I'm glad the viewers enjoyed that show.
Yeah.
Reed, coming up, as you know, I like to promote a couple things, and then I'll get to what I want to talk about. But October 20th, the Westfield Mayville Rotary Club is having their Gold Rush. And you know what? I had a bunch of tickets. You know, you always get those tickets. You got to sell. I sold out, and I got to get more. This thing is hot. It's $30 a person. You get a steak dinner with the works, all the beer and soft drinks you can drink, and you have a chance to win up to $1,000. And there's all kinds of smaller prizes all the way down through. And that's at the what we call the exempt Fireman's Hall there in Westfield on Bourne Street. So that's October 20th at 6 o'clock. Talk to any Rotarian in the area. We've got tickets. Also coming up, and I'll get a poster on this later on that I have, but we'll promote one thing at a time. But for those of you that are really into terror and scary stuff, and you've got teens or young, kids above 9 years of age, they're recommending, adults as well, the Children's Safety Village is hosting something called the Town of Terror, Reed. Imagine that.
Making my hair stand up, you know.
There's a real scary poster, but I'll bring that in sometime later. But anyways, it's coming up on the last 3 weekends of October, starting the 12th, Friday, Saturday, Friday, Saturday, Friday, Saturday. Well, anyways, they're taking the whole village and they're turning it into the town of terror, and it's supposed to be guaranteeing to scare the wits out of you and just have a wonderful, safe time.
Again, what village?
It's the Chautauqua Children's Safety Education Village in Nashville, right in the BOCES Center.
It's really going to be really scary.
It'll be real scary, I'm telling you. I was there the other day, and I've seen some of the things they're putting together, so that's going to be a fun time.
Okay.
So we'll talk more on that. The other thing I was going to talk about, just as a promotional type of thing, is if you haven't been to the 1891 Fredonia Opera House, last week, Bill and I had a chance to play there for the Gilman's Folk Festival, and that was just awesome. But Barb and I got treated by our friends Mel and Mary Swanson last night, and we went to see the Tribute to John Denver show. And there's a guy named Ted Vigil who looks exactly like John Denver and sounds like him. But the venue there, folks, if you haven't been there, it's a great venue. It's comfortable, and there's no bad seat in the place, and the prices are right. Take in a show. They've got some other live programs coming up, and they have films and stuff. But
where is this again?
The 1891 Fredonia Opera House, right in Barker Square.
Right.
Or Barker Commons.
Yeah, I hear they're doing some renovations there.
It's gorgeous. It's
Yeah.
absolutely gorgeous. All right, to the heart of what I want to talk about today is real simple. Reed, I know that this is where we're going to bare our soul to the public here, but you ever get a speeding ticket? I have.
Never had a speed. Yeah, one when I was 16, I got one.
Okay, got you upset probably. I didn't do it.
Well,
and so on.
no, I did. I admitted it, but I gave the cop hell because
Right.
I was in a line of cars.
See, I knew you were going
He
to
picked me out of the line.
See, there you go.
Because I was a kid, you know.
There you go. Well, anyways, the point I'm making is that when we get these speeding tickets or these other violations, we really get hacked off. Those sheriff deputies, they're so-and-sos, and how dare they, and this and that. Well, I got to tell you right now, ladies and gentlemen, Joe Gerasi and his department, thank you. 1 week's time solved this horrible tragedy out in Clymer. Now, you might think, well, I live over here on this side of the county or whatever, but, you know, out in our part of the county, in the western part, especially the lake area, Clymer, Ripley, Sherman, Westfield, we're all very, very close, and we know each other and so forth. And I got to tell you, there was a lot of people very, very nervous and very scared. But when Joe and Dave Foley got on the tube and so forth and assured people certain things were in process, and the speed that this thing unfolded in, this is incredible.
Well, he kept using his cell phone. They tracked him right down to
Right. Well,
Virginia.
but the point is that we always see the sheriff's department getting cut and slashed and people complaining and grousing about this and that. I'm telling you, I'm glad Joe and his guys and gals are out there protecting us. If you get a chance to see a deputy sheriff, thank them, because they put their lives on the line. We talk about our soldiers and our vets all the time, but these guys are doing the same thing here at home, taking care of us. So thanks again for a job well done. Unfortunately, it was for a tragic situation, but they made us safe and feel protected. Back to you, Reed.
Thank you. John Foley tells us that we've got to bring him back, though. We're going to have to go through a lengthy extradition process to bring him back here. And he is not he's not being charged with anything. He's only a person of interest. All right, enough said. Our guest, Jeff Diers, has been sitting here quietly and patiently wondering if he's ever going to get on the air. And he's on the air now. Good morning, Jeff.
Morning, Reed. Thank you very much for having me.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. Where did you grow up? Where were you? Where did you go to school?
Well, I grew up in Brockton.
Okay, local boy.
Graduated from high school at Brockton Central. Really loved aquatics and nature growing up as a kid.
And you like the lakes, too.
I love the lakes. I love creeks. When I had the opportunity to go to college, I ended up going to Jamestown Community College. Stayed a couple years there, had a couple degrees. Went to Fredonia State, really enjoyed research and again aquatics, and was really interested in invasive species. At the time it was zebra mussels, and from there it sort of just took off.
Then there's a new little eel-like fish, what do they call them, that has been introduced into Lake Erie, and it'll probably wind up in Lake Chautauqua.
The eel-like fish?
Yeah, it's kind of a long fish. They only get to be
the
about
lamprey?
10. Nope, that's not the one, but it's a new one that is now in Lake Erie. and I'll think of the name of it right after we go off the air. But it's we're getting these foreign fish coming in, and I understand that jumping carp is in the system, but they're trying to keep it out with electronics. Like they used to try to keep the lampreys out, the eels out. They're already in.
Correct.
And incidentally, the mussels, they had a hysterical process to save the mussels from getting into Lake Chautauqua from Lake Erie. And that is every time you switch your boat around, and of course these guys go back and forth both lakes all day long sometimes, you had to sterilize your boat completely with chlorine, and you had to wash it thoroughly, drain all the bilge out of it, and believe me, it ain't gonna happen. And of course we had the mussels just like that.
Absolutely. Invasive species move from water body to water body not only through human activity, as we're aware, through boats, but also through wildlife such as waterfowl, such as geese,
Right.
and other
and
types
just the
of...
flow of the water takes stuff around.
Absolutely.
Too,
Any water body that's connected to a system with invasives,
Sure.
aquatic plants or animals, they will be transported.
Okay, are you married?
I am married.
You have
married,
kids?
have a lovely wife and a 7-year-old boy.
Well, how about that?
He is something else.
Nobody's ever said I have an ugly wife. It's always a
Oh,
beautiful
absolutely.
wife.
She puts up with me. It doesn't matter. She's beautiful just in that regard.
And you have a dog?
I have 6. You want one?
6 dogs. Why do you have 6 dogs?
6 dogs.
You had a litter.
6 dogs because they're all rescues from Mississippi. Lived in Mississippi for 8 years.
Are these special kinds of dogs, a breed, or?
Just rescues from Katrina and several tornadoes down there.
Okay, Westfield has a lot of dogs too, you know.
Well, if anybody's interested, I could find
Well,
them
North
home.
Chautauqua Canine Rescue or whatever, they have a bunch of beautiful dogs, and they cull them carefully. If they bite and are vicious, they disappear.
Sure. Well, as long as we take care of our animals as much as we now are trying to take care of our lakes and waterways, I support it. So
Yeah, well, where do you keep all these dogs, though? I'm interested in this. How do you have 6 dogs in a normal house?
They're well trained.
Are they?
Very well trained. Very, very well trained.
Do they live in the house? Or do you
They
keep them
do.
outside?
I mean, we don't have the setup we did in Mississippi, but right now we're still
Oh,
in
I see.
transition.
You came from Mississippi. You
Well, I
were down
grew
there
up
for a while.
here and worked at the University of Mississippi for 5 years, worked for the federal government for another 3. My wife is a very caring person, so she will help anyone and any animal.
Any animal.
And we've actually, the ones we've had, we found homes for better part of 20 different dogs
Holy
and cats.
mackerel. You're a rescue on your own here.
Well, I'd like to stay out of that business, but sure, I'd rather protect the lakes and waterways.
Yeah, well, they have a bunch over Strunk Road, too, the Humane Society over there, I noticed. And a lot of cats. Westfield has a cat rescue system. They've got a bunch of people that rescue cats.
I don't know much about that at all.
Well, they placed 300 in the last year or so they're doing the job, too. Cats are great because they take care of themselves. You go away, you leave 'em, you just leave a litter box out and have somebody drop by and change it once in a while, and you're all set. The cats take care of it. Well, I have a trap so they can go in and out, too. And you just take a great big bag of kibble and you slit it down the middle and open it up. Leave a bucket of water and your cats are set for a month, you know.
Absolutely.
How do you walk 6 dogs? That's a big leash with a lot of connections, right?
Most of them, are yard trained.
Yard trained,
and obviously with leash laws and such.
Yeah, it's a pain, huh?
Yeah, but again, we're looking to find homes. So
Okay,
hoping
so
it's
here you
not
go.
alone.
Give them a number if you want to give them a number. If you want a nice, well-trained, socialized doggy.
Absolutely. You can call my office number at 716-661-8915.
661-81.
661-8915.
8915. Okay, 8915. Jeff, we're here to talk a little bit about the lakes. First of all, how many lakes do you have here? What do you got? What do you
Major
deal with?
lakes?
Yeah, major lakes.
Well-
we're talking about not ponds, but pretty
Well,
good-sized
we can
lakes.
start right off with Lake Erie. It's the largest
Of
lake.
course.
We border with an international body of water.
Right, inland
The
sea.
second would be Chautauqua Lake, which is the center point of our county. A beautiful, beautiful lake.
Wait a minute. Isn't it the highest lake in New York?
No.
It's not.
No,
I know it's very high.
Champlain is up near the Adirondacks. It just depends on the topography which you're at. But the other lakes we have in the county, the next would be Cassadaga Lakes, Finley Lake, and then the smallest of all those would be Bear Lake.
So we've got our share of lakes and streams, of course, all over the
Oh,
place.
absolutely,
Great trout
absolutely.
streams, I might add.
You couldn't ask for a better natural resource than water here in Chautauqua County.
Okay, now you're the coordinator for something. What do you do? What do you coordinate?
I am the Watershed Coordinator for Chautauqua County. It's a paid position in Chautauqua County with county-wide responsibilities. My role is the protection of water quality for all connecting water bodies in this county. I coordinate contracts for different organizations to do stabilization projects, water quality improvement projects. I'm not sure if many of you are aware, but Chautauqua Lake has had many issues throughout the years. There's many stakeholder groups and organizations.
Stakeholder groups?
Stakeholder groups, such as the Chautauqua Lake Association. They clean up the lake. Chautauqua Watershed Conservancy is very interested in protecting the water resources and adjoining land for aquatic and terrestrial habitat. There are many other groups in this county, and really this position was created as a necessity to bring these groups together and help have one person sort of work with all these groups for the common good.
Now, I notice they are trimming the lake, Chautauqua, and Chautauqua is probably the most important lake because it has surrounded shoulder to shoulder with cottages, houses, people who are out here for the summer, tourists who spend a lot of money, and Chautauqua Institution itself. So we are concerned about that lake. Pat McGee, God bless her, gave us a couple of lawnmowers for that. They chug up and down and they cut the weeds, right?
The weed harvesters,
the weed harvester. And how's that program working out? I heard a number of people grousing about the fact that they lose a lot of it and it all comes to shore.
Well, with the lake, as large as it is, it is 13,000 acres of water.
How many miles is that?
42 miles of shoreline.
42 miles.
That is 95+% colonized, basically, filled with homes and people and cottages. And of that area, there's a lot of weed growth because this is a water body that has a lot of nutrients and sedimentation. The only mechanism we have to manage the weeds currently because of New York State DEC's permitting regulations is the mechanical harvesting of the plants. And Chautauqua Lake Association has been doing this maintenance since the 1950s. It currently is the only option available for us at this time. They are doing an excellent job, and when you say mowing the grass, yes, it is not a control for the aquatic plants, but it is a maintenance
Keeps
practice.
them down a little bit.
It is.
But they grow right back eventually.
Absolutely.
Chemicals. Ain't going to happen, is it?
We are in the process right now of looking at an in-lake plan. The past several years, we looked at the watershed, developed a watershed management plan, and how to reduce sediment and nutrients from entering the lake, which really is what feeds the weeds. Now, we're in the process of developing an in-lake plan, looking at, now that we know what the sources are, what do we do with the plants and algae in the lake? And this summer, we have a consulting team out there, and hopefully by April of 2013, we'll have a plan that will allow us several options on how to maintain our aquatic vegetation.
Poison was one of them.
One of those, all options will be looked at and considered, and along this vast shoreline, we are going to look at the areas where man lives, where weeds are present, areas that are sensitive. They might be an area where there's water intakes for human potable water, swimming areas, fish habitat. All these areas are going to be looked at very carefully. And zones will be created around the lake within a particular zones based on the current conditions, man versus the environment, what types of practices are most successful and recommended for that area. And again, all options, and everyone's interested in what's the potential for using herbicides, those will all be looked at very carefully because it's such a hot topic and
it
ecological issue that we have to be very careful.
A lot of environmentalists go ape when you mention that as poisoning
Absolutely.
the water and everything, you know.
And this is, the lake is such an important discussion topic because no matter which way you discuss, whether you're going to keep the lake and do nothing, let the plants grow, or you're going to manage it in some degree, including chemical, no matter which way you look at it, no matter which decision you choose to control or maintain, is not going to make everyone happy. It's always going to be an issue of confrontation.
You got to find some kind of fish that eats the plants.
Well, there are fish that are available for small farm ponds that are small in size, of a specific acre, and this is all regulated by the federal and state governments. They are not an option for Chautauqua Lake because it has an outflow, but also because these particular fish called grass carp like to eat the really succulent native plants which we are trying to protect, and the invasive plants.
These aren't the ones that jump.
No, these are not the ones that fly.
The 50-pounders.
Yes, that's funny. When you see that on TV, you see the motorboats and the fishermen going out and you see these fish flying around, but from experience working in Mississippi, the Asian carp issue is a little bit more troublesome.
You told me you'd been attacked.
I was working for the U.S. Department of Agriculture as a fisheries technician, and just motoring down, I saw them fly. I still thought it was pretty comical. Until one hit me in the side of the ribs. I thought he broke my ribs. And he was a small one. I didn't want to get hit by one of those very large ones. He might have been a 10 or 20 pounder, but I've seen some as high as 50 pounds.
Oh my God, imagine a 50-pound bomb landing on you.
And it's something we definitely don't want in the Great Lakes because it will have a drastic impact.
Yeah, we do have a lot of invasion. We have the mussels, the zebra mussel, and we have, I thought of the name of that fish, the new fish that showed up recently.
Yes.
And not so recently. They tell me it takes 5 years for the local fish to get used to it and start eating it.
I'm having a hard time remembering what that fish is.
This is the goby.
Oh, the round goby has been in Lake Erie for some time.
Yeah.
That actually is not an eel-looking fish. It looks more like a sculpin. It's sort of small, rounded in the front.
10 inches maximum, and
it's
kind of
long
and lean.
Most of my research when I was at Fredonia State, I actually dealt with the round goby when it was first brought, or no, it was first found in New York State waters.
That was about 20 years ago, wasn't it?
1990. I'm going back here now. It's 98 or 99. I actually found the first round goby in New York.
And now they're everywhere.
They are quite a nuisance. And this is something, again, we want to keep out of Chautauqua Lake and other water bodies in this county.
I heard that the reason they don't like it, I mean, the detrimental factor here is they eat the small fish. The pike and the bass and so forth. They live in the ground where they have their eggs, and
they're very voracious. Voracious. They will eat the eggs of a nesting fish.
Yeah.
For example, one goby can fend off a largemouth or smallmouth bass from its nest. But in the same token, 100 gobies are going after that bass's nest while he's trying to protect. So they're very voracious, they multiply quickly, and just like any other fish, will feed upon opportunity. Yeah,
well, but as I did learn, it takes 5 years for the local fish to get used to a new one and realize they can eat it.
Absolutely.
And now they're eating the gobies.
Nearly every fish in the Great Lakes are eating round gobies.
Yeah, there you go. Caller, we got a call. Take a call?
Absolutely.
Good morning, caller. Thank you for waiting.
Good morning. Reed, a few months ago, you guys talked about the landfill issue, and there was complaints about water coming off of that and hoofing up the creek and all that sort of thing. I was wondering if you guys could talk about that, if that's been resolved.
The smell is what really is the issue over there. But
well, there was also something about water damage and
well, there's a lot of water pollution coming into the lake with the fertilizers and the horses and the cattle and so forth. But
every other type of activity, in the watershed. This, as I said, is a very large body of water, but we have a lot of homes. I think there's 16,000 people or homes in the Chautauqua Lake watershed. Most of those are not on a septic, or most of those are on septic. The ones that are close to the lake, About 85% of those homes are on sewage treatment plant or municipal treatment facilities. 15% of those in not so populated areas are left. The point I'm getting to now is that the large treatment facilities are known to release approximately 20% of the total phosphorus that is going into Chautauqua Lake.
That's bad. Why is phosphorus bad?
Phosphorus is a limiting nutrient. The more phosphorus, meaning that more plants and algae can grow. With all plants, everyone's going to look at the plant issue and say, okay, there's the weeds, we need to get rid of those. That is not easy, but at the same time, if we were able to remove all those plants from the lake, we still have nutrients there. And algae competes with plants. So if you removed all the plants, if you could do that, we would have a green lake in less than a week. It would be inundated with algae and a toxic algae that we would not even be able to use that water for swimming or other recreation.
Well, there's something there now. It's a green sort of algae. They tell you to stay away from it.
Cyanobacteria and certain blooms, and not all algae is the same. There's a particular type that is cytotoxic, that produces a chemical that can cause skin irritation if it's in contact with your skin for too long. Obviously, if you ingest it, can make you very, very ill. Some pets can have been killed. But the point of getting back to the sewage treatment plants really is that that's something we need to address here soon. Our treatment facilities are what's called secondary treatment. We have primary, which removes the large material going through septics or through the sewers, and then the secondary removes more of that. In order for us to successfully control the nutrients, we have to upgrade our sewage treatment plants to tertiary, which will remove the majority of nitrates and phosphates, which feed our plants.
We just had a caller who is shy, wouldn't come on the air, asked, how about the dump sites in the county? Do they pollute? Are they involved in this? Are they dangerous?
I do not follow carefully the dump sites. Most of what types of things that might happen with a disposal site would be underground through the various leaching of those cells, if it's possible. The surface water from these sites are well regulated. They have drainage ponds and settling basins and
well, we have the largest unused dump site right now in New York, in the eastern United States. Actually, we do here in Chautauqua County.
I don't follow much with the dump sites. I'm really, it is a water quality issue, and if something were to be discovered that's contributing, they monitor those all the time, and we see nothing that even relates that is an issue.
The old ones, everybody had one. Every town had one. The old ones have been shut down, and apparently they're not leaching out much stuff.
Right. Again, I have enough background to have that discussion, but definitely I'm not an expert in
dumps.
But you want to talk about water quality as it relates to, man and how we're maintaining our lakes and waterways for recreating and
very important for tourism.
Absolutely. Chautauqua Lake is a jewel.
And we live and die on tourism around Chautauqua Lake because it brings in a whopping income during the summer. Although, as they say, you only have an 8-9 week season, but you make a pretty good dough during that time.
Well, and that's where we're at right now. Obviously, with the economy the way it is, we need to find a way to protect our resource. And again, I mentioned that big ticket item with point source pollution coming from the plants. If we need to do something in regards to that, it's a multi-million-dollar endeavor. And right now we're trying to look for ways to find that.
Got to stop the phosphates.
Well, we need to slow down the water, slow down the sediment, slow down the nutrients. And there's many ways to do that. I'm mentioning this one over and over because we can actually measure this coming out of a pipe, what's the concentration. But we want the homeowners in this watershed to really look at their yards and how water comes off their homes, their driveways, and how that impacts their neighbors downhill, all the way down to the stream, finally to the lake.
So it is a lot of pollution coming off the lawn fertilizers, things such as that, which not pollution, but a nutrient for the weeds. And the chestnuts, that's a new one. Tell us about the chestnuts. We got a new foreigner in our lake.
The water chestnut is an aquatic plant, obviously, that the leaves are aspen leaf in shape. It's triangular, sizes of a quarter, $half at maximum size, with toothed edges. The plant itself forms what's called a rosette, a structure, orients from one point and fans out, and floats on the water. This originated, its native country is Eurasia or Africa, came to the United States in the early 1800s, and actually Harvard professor had introduced it to some research ponds, and it has expanded ever since. New York has had some reports, I think Oneida Lake in 1999. The first report in this county was at the Jamestown Audubon in 2006, which is this is just something I recently heard of, and many others. They had the issue there. They thought that since it was contained, it wasn't much of an issue. But this summer, in the end of July, we found a few plants, a few water chestnuts in Chautauqua Lake, primarily in the Bemis Creek area. But I also found a couple down in the Chautauqua. A total of 7 plants were found in this very large lake, and we had as soon as this plant was identified, the county executive put out a mass
chestnut warning.
Chestnut warning. Say anybody with a boat, boots, anything. Let's meet. Let's go out in a mass search party and look for these particular plants.
Well, you should eat them. I pay a fortune for those Chinese water chestnuts.
Different all in its entirety.
Oh, really? Different game,
But
huh?
the reason we were so successful this year is from the public. We were able to have the hotline and the homeowners and boaters and visitors. Anytime they were out, they were looking down in the water looking for this particular plant.
What's bad about it?
Well, the plant forms nutlets. And for every one of the nutlets that falls off can produce up to 5 or 6 of these stems, which produces that cluster or rosette, which I mentioned. Each one of those rosettes or cluster plant can have up to 5 to 10 nuts. So one nut has up to 20-something nuts from that one, which quickly reproduces. They say that 1 acre of chestnut stand left unattended equates to 20 acres the following year.
So it could be ultimately lakes covered with chestnuts.
That it very
Let's
well
just stomp every last one out.
Absolutely, that's the intent. I mean, this is a plant that we can, when located, can be quickly removed and disposed of because it doesn't spread like some of these other aquatic plants like milfoil.
Like dandelions, you can spot it anyway.
Absolutely.
It shows up on your lawn.
But this is the trouble because this plant could take over the lake. The invasive which we have now could be displaced.
Okay. We got a caller. Want to take a call?
Absolutely.
Hey, good morning, caller. Thank you for waiting so patiently.
Good morning, Reed. Good morning, Jeff.
Good morning.
To you on the show, Jeff. I'm Linda Spalding.
Okay, Linda Spalding. She's married to an old geezer over there in Chautauqua. I can tell you because she's called in before.
Nice to have you, Linda.
It's great to hear the different things that you're talking about and the different vegetation that we have in Lake Chautauqua. I was wondering if you knew, there's supposedly 2 definitions for Chautauqua, for the Indian name. One is supposed to be vague tide in the middle, and the other is called place of easy death. Was there some kind of herb that the Native Americans took along Lake Chautauqua that would get the name Chautauqua, and that would be the meaning? Is that correct?
I've never heard of that. I've heard Chautauqua being pinched in the middle as an Indian term, or what they call tied in the bag, like a little knot because of the way it's narrow at the center. But I've never heard of that particular definition. That's something I'd like to follow up on. That's an interesting.
I have some background information that herb that they were growing along the lake, the Indians use that in their peace pipes, and it's called marijuana.
I'm sure that grew here wild back.
Actually, it grew wild all over the world, in the United States anyway, until William Randall Hearst had it stomped out because it interfered with his paper production, believe it or not. They made paper out of the hemp.
I'll stick to aquatic plants.
But I was just wondering, about the the history of it and the derivative. And
I haven't followed up on the history on that closely.
Well, there's quite an Indian history if you look online, going along with Chautauqua and the county and the lake.
Absolutely.
And the slaughter, incidentally, that was going on too. The Iroquois Confederacy was a mean bunch of people.
It's one of those times in history that
they wiped out the Eries. They just stomped them out, eradicated them, among other
it's a
things.
very, very interesting area historically for man. Just because of its location. They settled here because of the water, and we're still living here, and it's a economic and tourism location because of those resources. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, well, the French, when they wrote about it, said this is a Garden of Eden. They loved it up here. They loved it.
It is a beautiful area.
Yes, it is.
Well, I grew up here. I moved away for 8 years, and I moved back home. There's no place like Chautauqua County, so here I am.
It is a gorgeous place.
Isn't it,
The
though?
geography is magnificent.
Now, how is Douglas doing over there?
He's doing quite well. He's been playing the penny whistle, and it's a beautiful day. There's a quilt show going on in Chautauqua, and the buses, the trams are going. It's a beautiful day.
And how about the doggies?
They're right now. They're tranquil, but that won't last very long.
It's funny, on one of our reports, senior reports that came in, they announced that during dinner everybody was quiet. Well, Linda, it's nice hearing from you. You do provide some sort of a service. What is that?
Yes. I would like to mention that the Chautauqua County Office for the Aging provides many services for seniors in the community, and I direct the Senior Employment Program, which is called the Senior Aid Program, which we have the training to work jobs. And the number to call for any interest, questions, or type of services that seniors may be interested in Mayville is 753-4471. Toll free from Dunkirk, Fredonia, 363-4471.
There you go. And there are a number of jobs begging for a senior to take them, I'm sure.
Seniors are wonderful workers. They're
You bet.
dependable. They know what they're doing. They have less on-the-job accidents.
They're
they
honest.
have stability to the workforce. It goes on and on.
They're honest.
Yes, they are.
And they know how to get along with people, especially seniors.
And they'll give you a full day's work for a full day's pay.
Right. Maybe more than a full day's work.
Right, that's right.
Linda Spalding doing the job. Thank you, Linda, and say congratulations on your upcoming anniversary.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, and to Doug too.
Well, thank you very much.
Well, you know, you're an angel too. They tell me you should receive sainthood for living with that man for so long. You know.
I tell him that all the time, but he doesn't believe me.
Okay, bye-bye.
Okay,
Call in again, will you?
I certainly will.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Linda Spalding, and she's married to Doug Spalding, who's a well-known guy. He's the head of the Landowners Association over there in Chautauqua for years. They live in Chautauqua.
The name sounds familiar.
We have more phone calls. You want to take a phone call or you want to talk?
Oh, we can take another phone call.
Okay,
for
good
sure.
morning, caller. Thank you for waiting.
Good morning. Are you still on?
Yes, we're here, and we're all ears.
Okay, I would like to know about Chautauqua Lake flowing into Pittsburgh, and that's how Pittsburgh gets their water.
Actually, that's what the great crossroads business about Westfield is. They go up over into Chautauqua Lake.
Portage Trail.
On the Portage Trail. They go down the lake, it empties out, it goes down further, they wind up in the Ohio, and they can get to
Pittsburgh.
to Mexico if they want to from that, because you just
we
go
had an
down the
excellent-
Mississippi. And
We had an excellent timber industry in this area, and that was the back before we had railways and cars. That was the way we transported our goods.
And they also, speaking of the timber industry, they condensed it. They made potash out of it, which was a very valuable commodity. It was worth its weight in gold, and that's what they sold up here originally to make money. Is the potash.
Yeah, but what was your question in regards to that it flows to Pittsburgh?
Well, when I lived in Pittsburgh, they said we get water, our drinking water, from Chautauqua.
Yes. Well, as a matter of fact, if you look at Chautauqua Lake, it has a watershed that, all the streams that are connected, and wherever water falls on the land surface flows toward that little body of water. We have an outlet. It flows toward Pittsburgh, the Allegheny. But if you think about it, we are the headwaters. I don't know this for exact, but I think we might be the northernmost headwaters for the Mississippi drainage, which empties into the Gulf of Mexico.
And you can get to Mississippi from Mayville.
Correct. You can paddle.
Oh,
there are some dams you have to get out and take out your canoe or kayak.
Portage.
Yes, portage, and then continue on. But absolutely, we are all connected.
Okay, caller, thank
you.
Thank you for the call. Yeah, I'm going to send you, if you send me a self-addressed stamp, I'm going to send you $10 worth of dinner over at the beautiful little Lakeview restaurant, you know, the one at the bottom of the hill here in Mayville. Okay?
Thank you.
Okay, well, thanks a lot for calling. I'm going to say, sadly, caller, the last caller, we're kind of running low on time, and I want you to talk very briefly about the funding. Where are we getting money for this? Are we getting money? Do they care?
Currently, this county has in place a tax for all overnight stays in the county called the 5% bed tax. Out of that, 3% is allocated to tourism, which is the Chautauqua County Visitors Bureau. The 2% is allocated for the protection of lakes and waterways, which is where I come in. My salary is paid from that, and I coordinate the activities under that program. There's agency allocations toward all the lakes in the county for their weed management. There's monies that are allocated for Lake Erie and the dams. There are also funds that are remaining to help provide grant funding to help with erosion and water quality projects that can be done. Basically, stream bank stabilization and shoreline stabilization projects.
Okay, we got Andy Goodell up there and Kathy Young in Albany. They dragged in some real bucks, didn't they?
Last year, the state was able to come through with 2 different inflows of $50,000 each, for a total of $100,000 that went directly to Chautauqua Lake Association for their maintenance efforts, for sure. Chautauqua Lake Association is constantly trying to get money to complete their efforts. You know, they have an entire lake, and their dollars, 3/4 of their dollars, I believe, come from donations. The county, we have a very narrow and limited amount of money, and we're doing our best, and we're hoping now that the state and federal governments really step forward. But what we're also asking, since budget seasons and that are very difficult to determine what the allocation would be for those types of maintenance, but to also reach out. We understand everyone's overtaxed, but we're trying to find unique ways to get these activities completed for this lake, and using as much resources through volunteers as possible.
Okay. I just got this message coming in. We're out of here. I'll give you 30 seconds just to close off.
I really appreciate Reed for having me. There's many things going on in this county in relationship to water quality improvement, particularly for Chautauqua Lake. There's projects, again, this summer, developing an in-lake submerged aquatic vegetation management plan to help us better identify ways to control for weeds, dredging feasibility study, and other projects. I just want to say, if anyone has any questions, feel free to contact me.
Phone number?
Call me at 661-8915.
661-81?
Absolutely.
15.
And the website just below, that's a website that was just created. There's a lot of information of projects and activities going on in Chautauqua.
Jeff Diers, the Chautauqua County Watershed coordinator.
Yes.
Thank you for showing up, giving up your Saturday morning.
Thank you very much.
Will you come back sometime? We'll see when we beat all the weeds.
Absolutely, that'd be a great, great message,
time,
wouldn't it?
Okay, I want to thank sorry caller, as I mentioned, we're out of time. Chuck Kelsey, Devin Taylor, Chris Burt, Randy Burt, Chris Ramaker, Jeff Zook, Don Zenz, and John Hamels. Thank you for being part of our crew here, part of the program. Anybody who wishes to call in any time, you may during the program.